What is intelligence? Now, coming up with a definition for something like that probably makes you feel not so intelligent. But there was a man, or there is a man, who's trying to define intelligence and he's finding success. And he's been noticed by people worldwide since 1984. The man's name is Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner was born July 7th, 1943, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. His parents were German Jews who came to America to escape the Holocaust. He was an excellent student throughout his life, and he also studied piano. He was a very gifted pianist. He became an author and a cognitive psychologist in his work at Harvard University, and he maintained work in the arts in his spare time. In the early 1980s, Gardner believed that intelligence was not to be thought of as a single entity. Rather, it was a combination of strengths. All this information you're going to be finding in your brochure, which I have provided. Yours will be a lot more colorful than mine. Mine is black and white. But all this information is listed inside this brochure. He identified at first 7 intelligences, and about a decade later he added an 8th and then a 9th. The 9 are linguistic, being able to speak well and to write well. Logical, mathematical, you're able to manipulate numbers and symbols well. Spatial, able to manipulate a 3-dimensional space. Bodily kinesthetic, you're able to coordinate your movement. That's one that I'm not so intelligent in. Musical, able to apply concepts of rhythm, pitch, melody, and harmony. Interpersonal, notice the I-N-T-E-R, personal, able to interact well with others. There's also intrapersonal, I-N-T-R-A, personal. You're able to recognize and apply your own thoughts, feelings, and interests to a situation. Now, the newer ones are the naturalist. You're able to distinguish features in nature. And finally, existential. You're able to reflect on abstract ideas. Now, when Gardner introduced these intelligences all these years ago, he was met with some, let's put it this way. It was a revolutionary idea that he challenged because he challenged long-cherished beliefs. Up until that time, they had used the IQ test, developed back in the early 1900s, to assess a child's ability to understand, reason, and make judgments. Now he was proposing something else that would possibly take the place of that IQ test. That was the biggest criticism he had, was getting rid of the IQ test. But his impact on the classroom was monumental. Teachers are giving students multiple ways to access information. Not only will their lesson plans be more engaging, but the students will be more likely to remember information. You can use music, you can use computers, all those different things to teach a child. Now, Gardner said if all students had the same kind of mind, if there were only one type of intelligence, then teachers could teach everybody the same thing in the same way and assess them in the exact same way, and it would be fair. This shows that actual education today is unfair then, unless some type of theory like Gardner's is put in place. It calls for regular and fundamental changes in curriculum. It also calls for regular and fundamental changes in assessment. What has Gardner challenged me to do as a teacher, as a special education teacher, is to keep the variety in my lesson planning and in my classroom. If it's possible that I'm teaching such a variety of individuals with a variety of strengths, I need to keep my lessons wide open and full of opportunities for every child. It sounds like a super teacher job, doesn't it? But it's true that variety in the classroom is possible using Howard Gardner's 9 different intelligences. Know your students, know your material.